timescales you're working to," he continued, addressing the man outside Maddy's field of vision. "But Top Taverns is expecting to be able to let the place go by New Year at the very latest. Most likely in the next couple of months, if I'm honest," he added in a lower tone, tapping the side of his nose knowingly. "And precisely how does Top Taverns think it's going to do that?" Maddy demanded as she marched into the bar to confront the little man. "What the hell?" Dennis blustered, as she placed herself in front of him, looking down from a height advantage of at least 6 inches. "Oh, it's Maddy, isn't it?" He looked nervously up at her. "Sorry to hear about poor old Patrick. Such sad news. He's not bloody dead, and you've not been to visit him. Too busy shoving your nose in here to bring him a bunch of bloody grapes, which, might I say, is a little rich given the way he slaves to fill your pockets. Well, not actually my pockets, obviously, although I appreciate Patrick as a loyal partner of Top Taverns, and also," Dennis added a little more confidently, puffing out his chest, "I slightly resent the suggestion I am shoving my nose in, given I am the regional manager for this pub, as I believe you know very well, although I haven't seen you here very recently." A low blow, thought Maddy, although admittedly she hadn't seen the loathsome Dennis since that summer 3 years ago. "I'm not likely to forget your little visits in a hurry, though, am I? Interesting, though, to hear you talking about improvements, because I can't help but notice that Top Taverns hasn't felt moved to do anything about the deterioration," she said, remembering the peeling paint outside and the slime running down a wall from a long-neglected gutter. "Patrick has a full repairing lease, as I'm sure you are aware," said Dennis spitefully, knowing she wasn't. "And I am bound to agree with you that there is work needed. I have been strongly advising him it's something he needs to be thinking about now his lease is coming to an end." "Coming to an end?" "Yes," he replied, glad to have caught her out. "Patrick's lease runs only until the end of the year. Renewal is a possibility, of course, but—" He waved a hand vaguely and let the sentence hang in the air between them. Loath to let Dennis get away with thinking he had won that particular bout, Maddy steered the conversation elsewhere. "And who the hell are you, anyway?" she said, turning her fierce gaze to the other man for the first time. He seemed irritatingly unmoved by her fury, leaning one elbow on the bar with casual grace, whilst treating her to a leisurely appraisal. It wasn't clear if his lazy grin was generated by amusement at her anger or approval at her appearance, although she doubted it was the latter. She was still wearing the jeans and flannel shirt she had thrown on in London before driving down through the night to reach Patrick's bedside. The shirt, an old one of Simon's, had shrunk in the wash, the cuffs turned back into thick wadges of fabric to reveal long, slim forearms with a fading tan. Cropped jeans ended in narrow ankles, and her bare feet, she hadn't wasted time on socks, were slipped into creased leather deck shoes. Under scrutiny, she pushed back her wavy brown hair with unconscious grace, but it fell instantly over her face again, hanging down over one eye like a Shetland pony's mane. After a night filled with worry and no sleep, and rattling from the panic attack she had barely overcome, Maddy wiped impatiently at the tears that sprung to her eyes, turning the action into a general face rub so the stranger wouldn't see her sudden distress. "As the lady says," he drawled, turning his attention diplomatically to Dennis, "it would appear that reports of Patrick's death have been exaggerated. So," he paused, "we find ourselves de trop." "Right-ho," Dennis wavered, clearly feeling he no longer had control over the conversation. "I need to get back to the office, so if you prefer—" He nodded his head in the man's direction. "We'll convene another day." With barely a glance at Maddy, he trotted out of the bar, fiddling with his mobile phone as he went. "Ben Faraday," said the man at last, holding out a hand for Maddy to shake. The way